So, is Malaysia the hardest country in Asia to invade? Some might argue that Indonesia holds that title with its labyrinth of islands and climate that can turn a nice tan into instant sunburn. But hold your horses or your warships, because Malaysia is about to make things a whole lot trickier. Geography? Check. History? You bet. Military strength? Oh yeah, they're packing. Let's break down why trying to invade Malaysia is like attempting to run up an escalator going down. It's possible, but not without a lot of struggle and maybe some epic fails. But before we get started, if you're new here, we post videos every day about some of the most exciting and exotic places in the world, and would love it if you would join us by leaving a like and subscribing. With that said, let's jump straight in. Malaysia's geography is like the hardest level of a video game where the map just keeps expanding and every new zone is worse than the last. You've got two main regions, Peninsular Malaysia and Malaysian Borneo, separated by none other than the South China Sea. That's like trying to keep track of two football games at once while juggling flaming swords. Coordinating an invasion on both fronts? Good luck. Logistics would be a nightmare, like ordering pizza from two different places and trying to get them to arrive at the exact same time. Spoiler, it's not going to happen smoothly. And if you thought the geography was tough, wait until you hear about the terrain. Picture dense tropical rainforests, rugged mountains, and rivers so vast that even Indiana Jones would hesitate to cross them. We're talking about terrain so tricky it could turn your military convoy into an impromptu jungle safari. Peninsular Malaysia's rainforests are thick enough to swallow whole armies, while in Malaysian Borneo it's like stepping into the prehistoric age. Swamps, ancient trees, and probably a few dinosaurs still lurking around. Good luck finding a clear path through that. Let's not forget Malaysia's prime real estate, the Strait of Malacca. This narrow, vital maritime choke point is like the highway of the seas, except it's packed with strong currents and hidden ambush points that could turn your fleet into a bunch of floating bath toys. Any invading force would have to navigate this watery gauntlet. And let's face it, it's not exactly a lazy river ride. Trying to control this strait is like trying to hold onto soap in the shower. It's slippery, unpredictable, and probably won't end well. With over 4,600 kilometers of coastline, Malaysia's beaches are a dream for vacationers and a nightmare for invaders. Every stretch of sand comes with its own set of booby traps, reefs, islands, and shoals that are just waiting to trip up the uninvited guests. Think of it as the world's most dangerous beach party, where instead of sunbathing, you get ambushed by guerrilla fighters. Now, you might think, okay, so the geography's tough, but what about their military? Well, the Malaysian armed forces may not be the biggest on the block, but size doesn't always matter, especially when you're playing on home turf. The army is highly trained in jungle warfare, ready to pounce from behind the thick foliage like a squad of highly trained Tarzans. They've also got rapid deployment down to a science. So if you think you can just sneak in, you'll probably get a swift and very unpleasant surprise. The Air Force and Navy, they're on high alert too, patrolling the skies and seas like hawks. So if you were planning on parachuting in, you might want to reconsider unless your parachute also doubles as a camouflage suit. What really puts the cherry on top of Malaysia's invincibility sundae? Its people. Malaysia has a multi-ethnic population that's as diverse as its terrain, Malays, Chinese, Indians, and indigenous folks. But when push comes to shove, they unite faster than you can say satay. This sense of national pride is like their invisible force field. If history has taught us anything, it's that invading a country with a united population is like trying to pull off a heist with everyone watching you. During British colonization, Malaysians of all backgrounds came together to resist colonial rule. It's like trying to split up a group of friends at karaoke night. It's just not going to happen. The moral of the story? A unified population is an invader's worst nightmare. Speaking of history, let's not forget the Moro people in the southern Philippines, who, fun fact, are of Malaysian origin. These folks didn't just resist Spanish colonization, they gave them such a hard time that the Spanish eventually threw up their hands and left. And when the Americans tried their luck, the Moros fought back with the same tenacity. It's like they've got a PhD in resistance. The Moros share deep cultural and historical ties with Malaysia, which only adds another layer of complexity for any would-be invaders. It's not just the terrain and the military you'd have to worry about. You'd also be up against a people who've made a career out of not being colonized. No amount of modern firepower can take away the centuries of fighting spirit ingrained in their culture. So is Malaysia the hardest country in Asia to invade? Absolutely. Between the tricky terrain, the maritime challenges, the well-trained military, and a population that won't give up without a fight, any invasion attempt would likely end in a spectacular failure. It's like trying to wrestle a tiger while blindfolded and covered in honey. Not recommended. In conclusion, if you're thinking of invading Malaysia, maybe just book a vacation there instead. Trust me, it'll be a lot more enjoyable.